VLR.
Welcome to the Saturday Night Cigar Lounge.
And the cold is coming. That's right, the cold is coming here on a very nice Saturday night here in Dallas, Texas, and on Vigilant Liberty Radio. This is Saturday Night Cigar Lounge. I'm your host, Taylor Millard, back after a 1-week absence to celebrate Christmas. And what a nice way to start the new year, to start 2015. That would be the fact that really for about a day and a half, it rained nonstop here in Dallas. And I'm a big fan of rain. It's one of my, I love rain. I love rain. I love snow. Why do I live in Texas? Well, because we do occasionally get rain and snow, believe it or not. But it was nice to be here. It was nice to enjoy the weather, to relax, to see my sisters. That was really fun, getting to see my sisters and getting to spend time with them. One of the things that was really kind of fun was the gifts that I got from my sisters. Some really fun stuff. The older of my two, I'm the oldest. The older of my two youngest sisters, so the middle child, got me a mini jam box, which is a Bluetooth speaker, which is kind of cool. So now, whenever Sean Vinkman and I are having fun on GTA or Battlefield 4 or Halo or wherever, I can actually listen to tunes without having to place my iPhone speaker right up by my headphones, and thus have everybody else listen to the weird music that I like to listen to, like, Japanese jazz or Viking metal or you name it. So the middle sister got me that. That was a very nice thing. My youngest sister got me No Hero, which is the book by Mark Owen, who, for those who don't know, Mark Owen is the man who wrote No Easy Day, which was the first person account of the mission that killed Osama bin Laden. Well, he then wrote No Hero, which kind of goes into his background as a SEAL. I have not read No Easy Day yet. I want to. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And so I look forward to reading that, and then look forward to reading about the work that was done by Mark Owen as a SEAL and getting to know some of the people he worked with. I really enjoyed and have really enjoyed reading Lone Survivor by Marcus Luttrell. That is a very hard book to read. It gives you a little bit of a background into what the SEALs go through and just how tough it is to be a SEAL. So I'm looking forward to seeing if Mark Owen goes into that a little bit more as well. I have not read American Sniper yet, the Chris Kyle book. I haven't seen the movie yet either, which I really want to see. The American Sniper movie that was directed by Clint Eastwood and starred what was it? Not Paul. Was it Paul Rudd who stars in it? I'm blanking on who is starring in American Sniper, and it's not Paul Rudd. It's Bradley Cooper. Excuse me, Bradley Cooper. Sorry about that. Thank you, Boston Randy, for correcting me. And Vicky in the chat room says that it is a really good film. So, cool. The last Clint Eastwood film I saw that he directed was... It was the one that was like Unforgiven for action films. I can't believe that I'm blanking on the film. It was just on TV recently. And I'm just completely blanking on it right now. Somebody in the chat room needs to help me here. Because, Vicky says that she read the book, not seen the movie, so I look forward to seeing the movie. I was thinking about Gran Torino. That's what I was thinking of. Really good film. Really good film. The other thing that my youngest sister got me that I am going to take time to read, William Shakespeare's Star Wars trilogy. I kid you not. William Shakespeare's Star Wars trilogy. Basically, somebody redid the Star Wars films into Shakespeare. I look forward to that. I look forward to reading this. I think that will be fun to read and experience, and we'll just see if they get the doths and bequeaths and to be's and not to be's all taken care of. I would be amused if they actually had a to be or not to be scene in this William Shakespeare's a Star Wars trilogy. Vicky in the chat room says she's read that. She heard it read aloud and it was beautiful. Okay, now I really can't wait to read this. So, thank you, youngest sis. Thank you, middle sis. Always fun. The other book that I read 2 books over the break. I'm actually about halfway through the second one. But the first book that I read was Overruled, which is Damon Root's book about the Supreme Court. Damon Root is an editor at Reason Magazine and wrote a really good book on the U.S. Supreme Court. And the way I actually found out about it was they put a sample of it, kind of a mishmash of various different sections, into Reason Magazine. And I thought it was really interesting, so that's why I bought the book and read it. And one of the things that Roots was a big proponent of, and I'm actually really looking forward to getting him on the show if I can, is, well, the difference between judicial advocacy and judicial deference, and kind of tracking the different things that were going on, the different cases, and how really the politics of judicial activism and judicial deference switched. It used to be that the statists, progressives, whatever you want to call them, were big fans of judicial deference and saying, nope, the states ought to do something, especially when it came to government involvement into things, whether it was government involvement in economics, government involvement into people's personal lives. They used to be a big fan of judicial deference and saying, well, the way it ought to change is through the ballot box. Whereas the more conservative-minded justices, libertarian-minded justices were more in fans of, no, this is what the Constitution says, and all of the laws, whether it's state, local, federal, have to follow the Constitution. And a lot of it that Root used was looking at whether it was economic issues, whether it was social issues, freedom of contract issues, and kind of the difference that there was. And then at some point, it actually happened in the New Deal era, near the end of the New Deal era, when FDR started packing the court a bit, was when you started to see more and more judicial activism from the statists, from the people who are, really promoting state involvement in things, whereas conservatives started fighting more on the judicial deference. In fact, what was really interesting was there was a discussion in the confirmation hearing that happened with Robert Bork. Robert Bork was compared to Oliver Wendell Holmes when it came to judicial deference. Now, of course, what's really funny is if you look at Robert Bork's politics and you look at Oliver Wendell Holmes' politics, they're completely different. But it showed the change that was done and the change that happened in the really how people started doing things, how judges started doing things. And what Root was saying is really what more judges ought to be willing to do is discussing the judicial activism, especially when it comes to freedom and liberty. I think that was the point he was trying to make. And he actually makes a really good job on it. Do I agree with him on it? Not 100%. And the reason why I don't 100% agree with him on it is because the definition that people have of the Supreme Court is from the Marbury versus Madison case, where it was written in by Chief Justice John Marshall that judicial overview was supposed to happen. And that's what the Supreme Court was supposed to do. However, if you look at the Constitution, and give me a second, my cat knocked my Constitution off of my desk, so I need to grab it. But if you look at what the Supreme Court said, or what the Constitution says about the Supreme Court, it's very interesting and very different. Here, this is Article 3, Section 1. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall, at stated times, receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversy which the U.S. shall be a party to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state. That was actually changed by the 11th Amendment. Between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens therefore and foreign states, citizens, or subjects. That was changed by the 11th Amendment as well. So, what does that say? Well, I don't see judicial review being in the Constitution. And again, it's not. It was put in there by, or the decision was made by Chief Justice John Marshall in Marbury versus Madison.